Good morning, cadets. Today we shall discuss about the energy stored in a capacitor. You know what is capacitor? Capacitor is a system of two conductors being charged with plus Q and minus Q. And the charge on the capacitor is taken as magnitude of these charges plus Q. When a charge is stored, and we know definitely there will be a potential difference. So, the capacitor is a device which is used to store some maximum amount of charge and thereby store the energy in the form of electrostatic potential energy. So, today we are going to calculate what is that electrostatic potential energy, how one can calculate electrostatic potential energy. Let us look into calculation. Energy stored in a capacitor. Consider this is a capacitor with some distance d between them. It is a parallel plate capacitor with certain distance d between them. When these plates are connected to a supply, a battery, then the charging takes place. So, slowly the charge starts building up. The charging does not take place instantaneously, it takes certain time. So, positive charge, that is to the plate connected to positive terminal of a battery, and negative charge same amount is stored to the plate which is connected to negative potential of the battery. So, this is a voltage source of voltage, let us say some V. Now, I am discussing what happens while the charge is getting stored. Now, let us say that at some instant of time, let us say some Q dash amount of charge is being stored. As a result, when Q dash amount of charge is stored, let us say V dash is the potential difference that is developed. When some amount of charge is stored, it will develop electric field, and as a result of electric field, it will develop potential, right? So, at any instant of time, let us say Q dash is the amount of charge that is developed, which is having potential, which is leading to potential V dash. Now, after that, let dq be a small amount of charge that is being added. See here, think that dq is small amount of charge that is being added from this second plate to the first plate, from the second conductor to the first conductor. Let dq be the charge that is added. At this moment, I have assumed q dash be the charge that is stored. When q dash is the charge that is already being stored, when dq is a small amount of charge that is to be added, then work has to be done in adding this additional dq positive charge on the already developed positive charge because of the repulsive interaction. When q dash positive charge is already present, if you want to add some dq amount of charge onto this, there will be a force of repulsion on the positive charge and positive charge. As a result, amount of work, there has to be some amount of work to be done in order to add dq amount of charge on the charge that is already existing, right? So, this amount of work that is done is stored in it in the form of small amount of potential energy, right? Now, in that way, suppose we are going to store q amount of charge. Finally, the maximum storage capacity of this capacitor, let us say it is having capacity to store q amount of charge from 0. Initially, the capacitor is not having any charge, it is an empty capacitor. So we are storing the charge from 0 to q. So if you at all we want to store a charge from 0 to some maximum value q, then work done in storing this charge is stored in it in the form of potential energy. That is what we are going to calculate. So I am going to write here, let q dash be the charge at some instant of time. If dq, small charge dq plus dq, small charge, is to be deposited on the conductor 1, on the conductor plate 1 from the conductor plate 2. From the conductor plate 2. Small amount of work done we are going to calculate. Small work done. Small work done, dW is equal to, you see, dW is equal to q dash into v dash. V dash into dq dash. It is not q dash into v dash. It is q dash dq dash into v dash. The small amount of work done is dW is equal to v dash into dq, where v dash is the work done per unit charge, work done per unit charge. Therefore, for small amount of charge dq, it is v dash into dq, where v dash is equal to q dash by c is the potential that is developed, potential difference, developed between the plates. Potential difference developed between the plates at that instant of time. Right? For q dash amount of charge, let the potential difference that is developed between the plates be v dash. So if at all you want to add dq amount of charge, small dq amount of charge, then work has to be done against this potential v dash. How much work has to be done? That is given by dW is equal to v dash into dq. So I have told you work done per unit charge is v dash multiplied by small amount of charge dq gives us small amount of work done for dq amount of charge. Now, for total charge q to be stored, we need to calculate total amount of work done from 0 to q. So there we have to integrate from 0 to q. Therefore, it is a step by step process. The total work done in storing the charge, total charge q from 0, initially it was empty, is now calculated as work done W is equal to integration of dW from 0 to q. So dW just substitute 0 to q v dash dq. Just substitute what is v dash. We get integration from 0 to q v dash q dash by c into dq. Now c is the capacitance of the capacitor. Take out it is being constant. Capacitance of the capacitor is constant. Take it out. So you are left with 1 by c into integration of q dash dq from 0 to q. What is integration of q dash dq? X dx. Integration of x dx is x square by 2. So we get q dash square by 2. Thus we will write q dash square by 2. And upper limit is q and lower limit is 0, q dash by 2. So thus we get the result. Now substitute the upper limit q, lower limit 0. So thus we get total work done is equal to q square by 2c. Upper limit is q, lower limit is 0. So we get finally q square by 2c. So this itself is the electrostatic potential energy stored in the capacitor. This work done in storing the charges develops a potential totally V and an electric field E, and thus it will store the charge, and this work done is stored in the form of electrostatic potential energy, which we have calculated as q square upon 2c. This work done in storing the charges is stored. The work done in collecting the charges, in storing the charges, or the work done during charging process. We can say work done during charging process is stored in the form of electrostatic potential energy. Is stored in the form of electrostatic potential energy. That itself we call it as energy stored in a capacitor. Potential energy, electrostatic potential energy. Now this can be expressed even in other forms. You know what is C? C is equal to Q by V. If you substitute C equal to Q by V, now you get C is equal to Q by V. Then if you substitute in this equation, we get U is equal to Q by V. So 1 Q cancels. So Q square by 2Q by V. 1 Q cancels. So you are left with half QV. So another form of electrostatic potential energy is half QV. Right? 1 by 2 Q into V. Now if you substitute Q is equal to CV, what do you get? Q is equal to CV. Q is equal to CV if you substitute, then potential energy U becomes equal to, you can see here, half Q is equal to CV. If you substitute here Q is equal to CV, it becomes C square V square by 2C. C square V square by 2C, C cancels. So you are left with half CV square. Half CV square. So these are the three equations. You can use half QV, right? You can use half CV square, or we can use Q square upon 2C, right? So thus we obtained the potential energy or electrostatic potential energy stored in a capacitor. Now we are going to find out, for the case of a parallel plate capacitor, what is the value of energy stored per unit volume? Let us consider the parallel plate capacitor is of surface area A and the distance of separation between the parallel plates be D. Let us consider a parallel plate capacitor of surface area of the plates A with D as the distance of separation, and the space between the two plates is vacuum. So that we can consider epsilon naught as the permittivity of free space. Then how one can calculate the energy stored in the parallel plate capacitor, and then energy density in a parallel plate capacitor. Energy density in a parallel plate capacitor in terms of electric field. In terms of electric field. In a parallel plate capacitor, let us say it is a parallel plate capacitor with surface area A and with a distance of separation D. We are going to calculate what is energy density, energy stored per unit volume, right? We have energy. Just now we have calculated electrostatic potential energy is given by U is equal to, remember, potential energy is always denoted by capital U. U is equal to half Q square by 2C, that is Q square by 2C. This is what we got it, Q square by 2C. Now, what is C for a parallel plate capacitor? Here, Q is equal to sigma into A, where sigma is the charge density as we know, and A is the surface area. C is the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor, epsilon naught A upon D. Capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor, epsilon naught A upon D. If we substitute this, then what do we get? U is equal to sigma square A square, sigma square A square by 2C, 2 into C. C is epsilon naught A by D. So, D comes to the numerator. Therefore, you are left with half D comes to the numerator. So, you can see here 1A cancels with this A. 1A cancels with this A. So, you are left with A into D, and here you can see here sigma square upon epsilon naught, sigma square upon epsilon naught. Now, we will modify this equation. We know that electric field, we are going to calculate energy density in the form of electric field. We have electric field between the parallel plate capacitors, between the parallel plates of the charged capacitor. Electric field E is given by sigma upon epsilon naught. E is given by sigma upon epsilon naught. If you substitute this, see here, to substitute that, what we will do? We will multiply numerator and denominator by epsilon naught. If you multiply numerator and denominator by epsilon naught, then what do we get? See here, in the denominator we get epsilon naught square, and in the numerator we get sigma square. So that in the next step I can write half E square, right? Therefore, U is equal to half sigma square upon epsilon naught square, sigma square upon epsilon naught square, right, into epsilon naught into AD. So, sigma square upon epsilon naught square, because epsilon into epsilon is epsilon naught square. This I can substitute as E square, where E is the electric field. Therefore, half E square into epsilon naught AD. What is AD? A is the surface area, A is the surface area and D is the distance of separation. If A is the surface area and D is the distance of separation, if you multiply this A with D, are we not going to get the volume of the parallel plate capacitor, volume of the space between the parallel plate capacitor. So, that gives you A into D as the volume. Therefore, if you take volume to the left hand side, then we get energy stored per unit volume. That is what we call it as energy density. Therefore, energy stored per unit volume, that is energy density equal to energy stored per unit volume, energy density equal to U by AD U by AD. So thus you get half epsilon naught E square, half epsilon naught E square, where epsilon naught is the permittivity of free space, E is the electric field, where E is electric field. So this is very important equation you need to remember. So energy stored in a parallel plate capacitor, or in general for that matter any type of capacitor, in general for any type of capacitor, the energy stored per unit volume, is called as energy density. Energy density is always half E naught, half epsilon naught E square. It depends on a square of the electric field. So energy density is in the form of electric field, and this electric field is developed because of the charges that are stored. When the charges that are stored are maximum, naturally the electric field will also be maximum, then energy density, energy stored per unit volume will also be maximum. Okay. So energy stored per unit volume depends on square of electric field. Remember this, half epsilon naught E square, right, where epsilon naught represents the permittivity of free space. If the capacitor is filled with any other dielectric medium of dielectric constant K, then it becomes half K epsilon naught E square. K into epsilon naught becomes epsilon, where epsilon is the permittivity of that dielectric medium. So in that case, energy density of a parallel plate capacitor filled with the dielectric of dielectric constant K is given by half epsilon E square. Okay. Now let us solve one problem based on this energy calculations. Let us solve a numerical problem. See here, a 900 picofarad capacitor is charged by 100 volt battery. 900 picofarad capacitor is being charged by a 100 volt battery. In this gap 100 volt battery is taken. Positive terminal is connected to conductor number 1 to the left side, and negative terminal is connected to the conductor number 2 to the right side. As a result, the left plate gets positively charged and the right plate gets negatively charged. So let us say plus Q and minus Q are the charges stored here for voltage of 100 volts. The question is, what is the energy, how much is the electrostatic energy stored by the capacitor? This is the first question. How much is the electrostatic energy stored in the capacitor? Energy stored in the capacitor, U is equal to half QV, or U is equal to half CV square. Capacitance is given 900 picofarad, voltage is given V equal to 100 volts. If we just substitute half CV square, value of C and V, we get electrostatic potential energy U, right. Second, the capacitor is now disconnected. Once the capacitor is fully charged, in the next step the capacitor is discharged, the capacitor is taken out, the battery is disconnected, the fully charged capacitor is now discharged. The capacitor is disconnected from the battery and connected to another one more similar capacitor of 900 picofarad, similar capacitor of 900 picofarad capacitance. Then what is the total electrostatic potential energy stored in the system? Two parts are there. So first I will calculate the first one, energy stored in the capacitor. Energy stored in the charged capacitor. So U is equal to half CV square, half into C is 900 picofarad, 900 into 10 to the power of minus 12 picofarad into voltage, voltage is 100 into 100 So this gives us the energy. So you can see here, so 4.5 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, minus 12 is there. So it becomes 10 to the power of minus 6 joules. So, you know, SI unit of energy is joule. So the energy stored in the charged capacitor is 4.5 into 10 to the power of minus 6. Now what is the charge? For our calculation, we can just calculate what is charge. Charge, you can see here charge Q. Q is equal to CV. Charge Q is equal to CV. C is 900 picofarad into V is 100 volt. So that becomes the charge. 9 into 1, 2, 3, 4. So it becomes 9 into 10 to the power of minus 8 coulomb. 9 into 10 to the power of minus 8 coulomb. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that becomes 9 into 10 to the power of minus 8 coulomb. So this is the charge that is stored here. Now you see the second part. Second part is interesting. The same charged capacitor is now disconnected from the battery and is now connected to another empty capacitor of same capacitance. Empty capacitor of same value of capacitance. Now, this is fully charged with Q and this is having 0 charge. Now, when it is connected, then what happens? The charges start flowing from the first capacitor to second capacitor. Both are of same capacitance, C equal to 900 picofarad. C equal to 900 picofarad. Now, the question is, finally, what is the total energy stored in the system? So, to calculate that, first look at it. When the charges start flowing from full charge Q to the 0 charge, then by charge conservation of charge, the charge on both the capacitor will be halved. The charges get halved because they are of same capacitance values. Therefore, if I had drawn there 3 plus 3, here now I will be drawing 3, and this will be stored with same amount of Q by 2 charge. This is by charge conservation. Charge conservation. Now, once we get the charge like this, now we can calculate what is the total energy stored in the system. Total energy stored in the system can be calculated again by using half QV. Now, when the charge is reduced from Q to Q by 2, then potential difference is also reduced from V to V by 2. Potential difference is reduced from V to V by 2, because you see earlier it was charged with potential V equal to 100 volts. V equal to 100 volts. Now that moment the charge was Q. The Q is calculated 9 into 10 to the power of minus 8. Now when a fully charged capacitor is connected to uncharged capacitor of same capacitance value, then by charge conservation the charges are stored equally, Q by 2, Q by 2. So when the charge is reduced to Q by 2, then voltage will also be reduced to 1 by V by 2. Now we will write second part. When a charged capacitor is connected to uncharged capacitor of same capacitance, of same capacitance, then by charge conservation let me take it as Q dash. Q dash is the charge. Q dash becomes Q by 2. Let Q dash be the charge on this, then it becomes Q by 2, and V dash be the potential difference. So when the Q had become Q dash, V will be V dash, then it will be also V by 2. So that if you take the ratio of Q dash by V dash, it should be giving you again Q by V. Q by V is equal to again capacitance, same capacitance C. So that if you take Q dash by V dash, Q dash by V dash will be giving you the same value of capacitance C, because both are of same capacitance. Now we can calculate what is the total energy by the product half QV dash, half QV dash, right? Now total energy of the system. Now total energy of the capacitors I am going to calculate. See, for one capacitor it is half Q dash V dash, but since there are two capacitors are there, so it becomes 2 times. So total energy of the system, if you take it as U, now it is U into 2 times, because 2 capacitors are there, half Q dash V dash into 2. So if you cancel 2, then we can substitute what is Q dash. Q dash is Q by 2, and what is V dash? V dash is V by 2. Therefore it becomes QV by 4, QV by 4, right? QV by 4, right? Therefore if you substitute QV by 4, QV by 2 already we have calculated. QV by 2 is 900 into 10 to the power of minus 12. Just now we have calculated 4.5. It is not 900, it is 4.5. So we have already got earlier. You can take this one as U dash, total energy of the system as U dash. Earlier we have taken it as U. So U dash is therefore equal to, you can see QV by 2, half of QV by 2. QV by 2 already we got 4.5 into 10 to the power of minus 10 to the power of minus 6 joules. 10 to the power of minus 6 joules, yes. Whole divided by 2. QV by 2 is this one, divided by 2. So it becomes 2.25 into 10 to the power of minus 6 joules. This is interesting. When it was only one capacitor, when it was fully charged, its value of potential energy, we got it as U is equal to 4.5 into 10 raised to minus 6 joules. This is U for a single capacitor. But same capacitor, when it is connected to another capacitor, uncharged capacitor, now the total energy of both the capacitors together, it has become 2.25 into 10 to the power of minus 6 joules, means exact half of this. 2.25 into 2, it becomes 4.5, exact half of this. Then what about the remaining half energy, where it is gone? So that is interesting thing. When a fully charged capacitor is connected to uncharged capacitor of the same identical capacitance value, then by charge conservation, charge is reduced exactly half. Potential is also reduced to exactly half, but total energy of the system is reduced to half. Where is that missing energy? The energy is lost in the form of heat. What happens during the flow of charges? That is interesting thing. The time duration for which the charges are flowing from fully charged capacitor to the uncharged capacitor, that duration is called transient period. Remember, this is called as transient period, and it is a very short duration. Transient period is that short duration for which the charging takes place. flow of charges take place from a fully charged capacitor to uncharged capacitor. And the current that is developed during this transient period is called as transient current. Because of flow of charges, there is a current that is developed in this connecting conductors, connecting leads. So when the current flows during this transient period, due to the transient current, there is loss of energy in the form of heat, Joule's heating effect, I square R loss in the form of heat. Second thing, it is also lost in the form of electromagnetic radiation. Please remember this. So the half of the energy that is lost, you can see here, half of the energy that is lost, it is mainly in the form of energy lost in the form of heat and electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation will be in the form of spark sometimes. Spark is nothing but light, and heat and electromagnetic radiation. Okay, so that's how we have to solve the problems. So practice the problems from the exercise, and we shall discuss more and more numerical problems on capacitors. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.